You ever notice how the freak show used to be something you had to go find? You had to walk down to the carnival, buy a ticket, and step into the tent. And you knew what you were getting into. You knew you were about to see the two-headed goat or the guy who hammers nails into his nose. Nose? You knew it was all for show, all for entertainment. You don't have to buy a ticket. You don't have to leave your house. The freak show comes to you. Right into your living room, right into your hand, right into your hand, right into your eyeballs. You open that screen and bam, there's your daily parade of weirdos ready to juggle their insanity for free. And the strange part is you don't even notice how weird it all is anymore. It's been normalized. You used to have one bearded lady in the freak show, one special attraction. People lined up around the block just to see her. Now, scroll for 5 seconds and you'll see 10 guys with beards down to their knees. One of them juggling chainsaws, another one singing opera, and the third one arguing with his parrot about politics. And instead of paying, you're just sitting there in your underwear eating cereal at midnight, thinking, oh well, this is just Tuesday. The freak show never ends now. That's the problem. In the old days, the carnival packed up, moved to the next town. They shut it down, gave you a break, let you go home and pretend life was normal again. Online, the tent never closes. The lights stay on, the music never stops, and the freaks keep parading through like they're on an endless conveyor belt of strangeness. One guy swallows a sword, the next one paints himself blue and screams motivational quotes, and the next one eats a shoe because somebody dared him to. And you're supposed to clap for all of them. Clap, clap, clap. That's the currency now. Applause in the form of a little digital thumbs up. The more bizarre the stunt, the more claps they get. And it's not just the performers who are freaks anymore. The audience, too. You're watching this stuff, you're encouraging it. You're a part of the freak show whether you like it or not. You think you're just an observer, but no. Every time you share a clip of some guy lighting his hair on fire, you're the carnival barker. You're out front yelling, step right up, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta see this. A man sets himself on fire while doing the Macarena. And your friends all come running in, drooling popcorn out of their mouths, ready to clap for the next human disaster. And the weirdest part? The freak show has no limits anymore. In the old days, you could only get so freaky before the laws of physics stopped you. Maybe you had a sword swallower, maybe a guy with tattoos on his eyeballs. That was it. Now, people are inventing new freak categories every day. There's the guy who pretends to be a lizard, the woman who eats couch cushions, the kid who recites the dictionary backwards, and the dude who films himself pretending to be a ghost in his own basement. And people eat it up. Not because it's impressive, but because it's weird. The weirder, the better. That's the new rule. And the funny thing is, the freaks aren't even rare anymore. Everyone's a freak now. Used to be you had to dig deep to find somebody with an odd talent. Now every neighborhood has one. The guy down the street with the backyard trampoline. He's one viral video away from being the next human cannonball. The woman at the grocery store who talks too loud into her flip phone. She's one recording away from being the screaming banshee of aisle 3. Everyone's auditioning whether they know it or not. The circus is everywhere, all the time, and you don't even need a ticket. And you know what happens when everyone's a freak? The bar keeps getting raised. If the guy yesterday ate 3 light bulbs, today you gotta eat 4. If somebody juggled bowling balls last week, you gotta juggle chainsaws this week. There's no stopping it. It's a constant arms race of nonsense, people out there thinking, how can I out-weird the last freak? And eventually you got somebody stapling bread to the ceiling just to get noticed. Bread. On the ceiling. And somebody somewhere is clapping like it's the greatest achievement of modern science. And here's the kicker. You don't even know why you're watching. You can't remember. You scroll past a guy dressed like a giant pickle singing karaoke and you think, why the hell am I still staring at this? But you don't stop. You can't. Because deep down you're hooked on the freak show. You don't want to miss the next one. Because maybe the next freak will be even freakier. Maybe the next guy will ride a unicycle while solving a Rubik's Cube with his feet. And you can't risk missing that. You don't want to be the only one at work tomorrow who hasn't seen the foot cube unicyclist. So you keep watching. You keep clapping. You keep feeding the circus. You ever notice how nobody runs their own life anymore? No, they don't. They got something else running it for them, and it isn't family, it isn't religion, it isn't even their boss. No, it's the almighty algorithm. That's the new ringmaster, ladies and gentlemen. The guy with the top hat and the whip. Only difference is he's invisible. He doesn't come out on stage with a booming voice going, "Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages." No. This guy just sits in the dark behind the curtain, crunching numbers, flipping switches, pulling levers, deciding whether you're going to spend the next 20 minutes looking at kittens. Yeah, conspiracy theories or a guy eating 20 hot dogs in under a minute. That's your new ringmaster. And he doesn't ask for your attention, he takes it. You think you're in charge? You think you logged in just to check one thing? Oh, sure, buddy. No. That's like saying you're only going to the circus for the peanuts. Nobody leaves after peanuts. You're in the tent, you're staying till the elephants start dancing. You sit there wide-eyed, drooling, wondering, how the hell did I just waste 2 hours watching people fall off trampolines? And I'll tell you how you had no choice. The ringmaster cracked the whip and shouted, "Roll the next clown out." And you said, "Yes, sir, thank you, sir. May I have another?" And this ringmaster doesn't even have to yell at you, he whispers. He says, "Hey, you liked that video of a guy fixing a sink, didn't you? Well, guess what? We got 2,000 more sink fixers ready to go. And before you know it, you're a plumbing expert who's never fixed a sink." That's what's so beautiful about this system. It convinces you you're learning while you're actually just sitting there with potato chip dust on your chest thinking, "I could fix a sink if I really wanted to." No, you can't. You can't even fix your own posture, let alone a sink. But you believe it, because the ringmaster told you so, and the best part, you don't even see him. You don't see the strings, you don't hear the cues, you just go along with it. At least in the old days when you went to a circus, you knew you were being distracted. You knew the guy juggling fire wasn't solving world hunger. You knew the bearded lady wasn't going to walk off stage and run for president. But online, forget it. Everyone thinks they're enlightened because they saw a 2-minute clip of some guy explaining the meaning of life with a whiteboard. That's not enlightenment, that's a TED Talk with clown makeup on. And you know the algorithm, the ringmaster, he's got the best gig in the world. Because unlike a real circus where they gotta feed the lions, clean up the elephant crap, make sure the trapeze artists don't fall on somebody's grandmother, this guy's job is easy. He doesn't have to do anything except figure out which shiny object to dangle in front of you next. You ever see a cat chase a laser pointer? That's you. That's every one of you. Only difference is the cat has the dignity to give up after 5 minutes and lick itself. You keep chasing that little red dot till your phone battery dies. And what are we chasing? What's the prize at the end of this circus act? Nothing? Absolutely nothing. Just the illusion that maybe, just maybe, the next scroll, the next click, the next swipe is going to deliver something meaningful, but it never does. It's like waiting for the magician to pull a rabbit out of his hat, except instead of a rabbit, he pulls out another hat, and you clap anyway. Wow, another hat. Amazing. And then you wait around to see what's inside that hat, and surprise, it's another damn hat. You've been watching hats for 6 years, and you're still amazed. That's what the ringmaster has done to us. You don't even realize how trained you are. That's the real magic trick. You're not an audience member anymore. You're a trained seal. The circus isn't on the stage, it's you. You're clapping for fish every time you see a notification. Ah, somebody liked my picture. Clap, clap, clap. Ding. Somebody disagreed with me in the comments. Clap, 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 clap. Ding. Somebody tagged me in a blurry photo I didn't want online. Clap, clap, clap. That's your fish. That's what keeps you coming back. Forget the lions, forget the trapeze. You're the seal balancing the ball on your nose going, "Look at me, look at me." And the ringmaster's standing there counting the ticket money. And here's the kicker. There are no tickets. You didn't buy your way into this circus. You didn't hand over cash at the door. You handed over something much more valuable. Your attention, your time, your brain cells. That's the real admission price. And the ringmaster knows it. He knows the longer you sit in the stands, the more popcorn you buy, the more soda you drink, the fatter your brain gets on empty calories. He doesn't care if you're learning. He doesn't care if you're happy. He doesn't even care if you're depressed. Nah. In fact, he kind of likes it when you're depressed, because depressed people click more. They're hungry for distraction. The sad clown clicks the most. You ever wonder why the circus never ends? Because if it ended, you might have a thought of your own. And God forbid you have one of those. A thought of your own is dangerous. You might stand up, put on your coat, and leave the tent. You might realize you've been entertained to death, and we can't have that. So the ringmaster keeps the lights on all night. He keeps the elephants parading, the clowns tumbling, the freaks showing off. Well, don't go to bed yet. The show's not over. Well, it's never over. That's the point. It goes on forever, and you're the sucker who bought a lifetime pass. You ever notice how in the old days when a show ended, it actually ended? The curtain dropped, the lights came on, you found your jacket, and you went home. The circus wrapped it up, the clowns packed into their tiny car. The elephants went back to whatever sad little truck they lived in, and the audience got to leave. That was the beauty of us. The show's ended. You could clap, laugh, eat some stale popcorn, and then you were free. But now, not anymore. Not in the digital circus. This audience never leaves. They don't go home, they don't shut up, they don't even blink. They sit there day after day, refreshing, clicking, scrolling. Permanent audience, like squatters in the bleachers. And they don't just sit quietly either. Oh no, this isn't your grandmother's polite audience, where you clap at the right time and maybe cough into your program. This is an audience that talks back. They heckle, they boo, they throw digital peanuts at you, and half the time they're rotten peanuts. They're not just there to watch, they want to be part of the act. You post a video, they don't just watch it, they dissect it. They analyze it. Why is he wearing that shirt? Why is he standing like that? Why does his hair look like a squirrel slept in it? Suddenly the audience thinks they're theater critics. They're Simon Cowell in pajamas, judging you from a couch that hasn't been cleaned since the Clinton administration. And this audience has no patience. They want everything now. Used to be you'd go to a show and you'd wait. You'd sit through the setup, the build-up, the anticipation. Now, forget it. If you don't juggle chainsaws in the first 3 seconds, they're gone. 3 seconds. That's the attention span we're working with. 3 seconds to prove you're worth the time of somebody who hasn't even put pants on today. That's pressure, man. That's like asking the bearded lady to shave halfway through her act just to keep people interested. And it's not like the audience is loyal. In a real circus, you had your favorite act, your favorite clown, your favorite trapeze artist. You'd come back every year to see them. In the digital circus, loyalty doesn't exist. The audience will cheer for you today and forget you tomorrow. One bad joke, one boring video, and they're off to clap for the next freak juggling rubber chickens. They'll drop you faster than a trapeze artist with butter on his hands. And here's the really twisted part. The audience doesn't even realize they're the ones trapped. They think they're in control because they get to pick what they watch, when they watch, how they watch. But they're stuck in the bleachers just like you're stuck in the ring. They can't leave her. They keep refreshing, keep commenting, keep demanding the next act. They're hooked, addicted to the circus. Because the moment the show stops, the silence is deafening. And nobody can handle silence anymore. Silence is terrifying. You know why? Because in silence, you might actually have to hear yourself think. And that's scarier than any clown. And the audience never shuts up. That's the worst part. They don't leave and they don't shut up. Every post has to be a group discussion. 1 million people in the bleachers all screaming at once. It's like trying to do a tightrope act while the crowd throws rocks at you and yells about your shoes. You can't win. You wear red shoes, they want blue. You wear blue, they want green. You wear no shoes and they say you're disgusting. That's the audience you're dealing with now. They want perfection. And if you don't give it to them, they'll boo you off the digital stage and move on to the next poor schmuck. And here's the kicker. Nobody in the audience even paid for a ticket. That's what makes it so insane. In the old days, you paid to get in. You shelled out a couple of bucks, you got a program, maybe a balloon for the kid, and then you earned the right to complain if the clowns weren't funny. Now, the audience is freeloading. They didn't pay a dime. They got in for free, and they still think they're Broadway critics. Imagine sneaking into the circus without a ticket and then telling the trapeze artist, You should point your toes more. Buddy, you didn't even buy popcorn. Shut up and clap. But they can't shut up. They can't stop, because the digital circus gave the audience a microphone. Used to be the crowd clapped or booed, but that was it. Now every guy in the stands has his own spotlight, his own soapbox, his own megaphone. And they use it. Oh, they use it. Loudly, constantly. You don't just perform your act anymore. You also perform for the critics. The unpaid, unqualified critics who think watching half a trapeze act makes them a trapeze expert. And let's be honest. The audience isn't watching for the joy of the act. They're waiting for failure. That's what really gets them going. They want the lion to miss his cue, the clown to trip, the acrobat to fall flat on his face. That's what they live for. They don't want you to succeed. They want the blooper reel. They want the disaster. Because nothing makes an audience cheer louder than somebody else's screw-up. You could juggle fire perfectly for an hour and they'll clap politely. But drop one torch on your foot, and suddenly you're a legend. They'll replay that moment 1,000 times. They'll share it with their friends. They'll say, oh, look at this idiot. That's the currency of the digital bleachers. And the scariest thing is, this audience never leaves, but they also never forget. In the old circus, you could bomb one night, pack up, move to the next town, and nobody cared. You got a clean slate. Not anymore. Online, you screw up once and it's etched in stone. Forever, the audience carries it with them. They'll remind you years later, hey, Hank, aren't you the guy who fell off the unicycle in 2009? Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, buddy. Glad to know you've been sitting in the stands replaying that moment for the last 5 years. You ever notice how clowns used to be a once-in-a-while thing? You went to the circus. Maybe you saw a clown or two. They did a little slapstick. Threw a pie in somebody's face, everybody laughed. And then they got off the stage so the real acts could come on. The elephants, the acrobats, the trapeze artists, those were the main events. The clowns were just filler. Now, the clowns are the main event. Everywhere you look, it's clowns. The circus used to have one or two, now it's wall-to-wall honking noses. Open your phone, open your computer, doesn't matter. You're in clown country now. You didn't ask for it, but there it is. And these aren't the professional clowns. Not the kind who studied pratfalls and timing. Not the kind who learned how to make a balloon giraffe without it exploding in their face. No, these are amateurs. Self-appointed clowns. People who wake up in the morning, put on a filter and decide, and today I'm going to juggle my dignity for strangers. And they don't even see the irony. They think they're presenting themselves with style, sophistication, maybe even intelligence. But to everyone else, they look like circus rejects fighting over who gets the big red nose. The thing about digital clowns is they don't need costumes anymore. They don't need floppy shoes or rainbow wigs. They've got emojis, filters, hashtags. That's their face paint now. You don't need grease paint when you can slap a dog face on yourself in 2 seconds. And the crazy part, they think it's cute. They think sticking their tongue out like a Labrador is endearing. It's not cute. It's not funny. It's a grown adult pretending to be a puppy for applause. You wouldn't do that in the middle of a grocery store, would you? You wouldn't walk down the bread aisle barking for strangers. But online, that's Tuesday. And the juggling, my God, everybody's juggling. Not balls, not clubs, not torture. They're juggling opinions, juggling half-baked facts, juggling outrage. One day they're an expert on politics, the next day it's nutrition, then it's history, then it's philosophy. They can't hold on to anything for more than 10 seconds, but they keep tossing it all in the air like they know what they're doing. And of course, they drop everything. They always drop everything. But instead of admitting they don't know what they're talking about, they just bend over, pick it up, and throw it back into the air. That's the act. That's the whole act. Dropping things and pretending it's part of the show. And the clowns don't even know they're clowns. That's the beauty of it. A real clown knows he's a clown. He puts on the outfit, he goes into the ring, he honks the horn, he knows his job. These people, they think they're philosophers. They think they're leaders, prophets, geniuses. They think they're changing the world one badly lit video at a time. Meanwhile, to everyone else, they look like a guy slipping on a banana peel for the 100th time. Same pratfall, different banana. And you can't escape them. Used to be you only saw clowns if you went to the circus. Now they show up uninvited. They're in your living room, in your bedroom, at your dinner table. They're in your pocket, buzzing every 5 minutes to remind you they still exist. You can't walk 2 feet without another clown tripping over his oversized shoes and begging you to look at him. Oh, look at me. Look at me. I'm juggling socks while singing off-key. Yeah, thanks, pal, but I was trying to eat dinner. No, you gotta see this. I glued spaghetti to my wall. That's not talent, that's an accident. But sure enough, there's an audience clapping like it's high art. And that's the other thing, these clowns actually have audiences. Not just a couple of kids in the front row, no. Thousands, millions even. People who tune in every day to see what new stunt the clown is gonna pull. And the stunts get weirder, because once you've done one trick, you can't just stop. You can't just honk the horn and call it a day. No, you gotta top yourself. Yesterday you sang with a fake mustache on. Today you better sing upside down while eating a sandwich. Tomorrow you better do it while standing in the rain wearing a tutu. There's no end to it. The clown has to keep upping the ante, because if he doesn't, the audience wanders off to the next clown with a bigger horn. And the audience doesn't even realize they're clowns too. That's the really twisted part. They sit in the stands pointing at the guy in the ring, laughing at him. But the whole time they're waiting for their turn. Because in this circus, the audience isn't separate from the act. Sooner or later, they're gonna post their own little honk, their own little pratfall, their own little cry for attention. And when they do, they become clowns too. The whole tent is just one giant clown car. Can everybody stuffed inside? And you think you're sitting comfortably in the stands, but the door slams shut, and suddenly you're honking the horn with everybody else. And the worst part, clowns never retire now. Real clowns used to pack it in eventually. They'd get old, hang up the wig, maybe go live in Florida and scare children at birthday parties. But these clowns, they never stop. They keep honking till their last breath. 70 years old, still making duck faces, still juggling nonsense, still begging strangers for applause. It's not a career anymore, it's a life sentence. Once you're a clown in the digital circus, you don't leave. You just keep squeezing the horn forever. You know what amazes me? How clowns used to be rare. You had to buy a ticket, sit under the big top, smell the sawdust, and wait for the circus to roll into town if you wanted to see clowns. It was special. It was occasional. Now, clowns are everywhere. We live inside the circus. There's no tent, there's no ringmaster, there's no elephants. Just clowns running around, juggling, tripping, honking, and nobody asked for it. You don't even buy a ticket anymore. You just wake up in the morning, roll over, check your phone, and boom, your breakfast is interrupted by a man sticking 30 marshmallows in his mouth for applause. That's how you start your day. Coffee, toast, and clowns. And they're not even the good kind of clowns, not the trained ones. Not the ones who went to clown college, learned how to fall downstairs without breaking their hip, learned how to honk and key. These are amateur clowns, self-made clowns. Clowns who graduated from the University of Look at Me with a degree in making noise for no reason. They think they're being original. They think they're edgy, creative, artistic. But really, they're just tossing pies in their own face and hoping somebody in the cheap seats claps for it. And here's the kicker. They don't even know they're clowns. A real clown knows he's a clown. He puts on the makeup, the shoes, the wig, he steps into the ring, and he knows his job is to look ridiculous. That's the gig. But these digital clowns, they think they're philosophers. They think they're poets. They think they're world changers. Meanwhile, to everybody else, they look like a guy falling off a unicycle while yelling about kale. And somehow the audience takes it seriously. Oh, wow, he's so authentic, he's so real. No, he's a clown with Wi-Fi. That's all he is. And the thing is, the circus used to be contained. You went to the tent, you laughed, you went home. That was it. Now the circus follows you everywhere. It's in your living room, in your bathroom, in your bed at 3 a.m. when you're trying to sleep. But some clown is juggling opinions about pineapple on pizza. And you can't look away. You don't even want to be in the tent. But you're trapped in the center ring. They've set up camp in your pocket and the horn never stops honking. The tricks have changed too. Old clowns did slapstick. Fall down, get back up, boom, laugh. But these new clowns, their tricks are stranger. One clown balances on a chair while explaining conspiracy theories about orange juice. Another one paints his face and pretends to cry because his sandwich fell apart. That's the act, crying over a sandwich. And people eat it up. They don't see a man with too much free time. They see art, they see bravery. He's so vulnerable. No, he's a guy who couldn't assemble a sandwich properly. That's not vulnerable, that's just sloppy. And it's not just one or two clowns, it's millions. An army of clowns. The circus used to have a handful. 5, maybe 6 tops. Now it's like a clown car exploded. Every time you think it's empty, another one crawls out honking, waving, demanding attention. And you try to look away, but there's always another one right behind him, juggling pickles while singing about his cat. And you ask yourself, how many clowns can there possibly be? And the answer is infinite. The clown supply never runs out. It's a self-replenishing ecosystem. For every clown who burns out, 2 more are born, ready to honk. And you know what's worse? The audience is part of the act now. Used to be, you sat safely in the stands eating peanuts, laughing at the clown. That was the arrangement. Now the audience can't resist climbing into the ring. They see the clown juggling and they think, I can do that. So they get up, trip over their shoelaces, fall flat on their face, and suddenly they're clowns too. That's how it works now. Everybody's the star of their own little circus. You're not safe in the seats anymore. The minute you laugh too hard, you're tempted to grab the horn and honk it yourself. Next thing you know, you've painted a smile on your face, and you're begging strangers to notice you balancing on a broomstick in your kitchen. And the juggling. Oh, the juggling. These people juggle everything. Facts, nonsense, outrage, emotion. One day they're an expert on medicine. The next day it's philosophy, the next it's fitness, then it's ancient history. They juggle things they don't even understand, and they keep dropping them, but they never admit it. They just pick it up, toss it back into the air, and pretend like nothing happened. That's the show. Not the juggling, not the skill, just the dropping. Watching people drop knowledge, drop logic, drop common sense, and clap for themselves like they nailed it. And the clown outfits? Forget about wigs and shoes. They've got filters now. They don't need face paint when they can slap a dog's snout on themselves in 2 seconds. A grown adult with a job and responsibilities, looking into a camera with floppy ears going, oof. That's the new act, and they think it's adorable. It's not adorable. It's not even funny. It's desperate. Imagine walking into a hardware store, barking at the clerk and expecting applause. That's what it is. A circus without boundaries.